Very good afternoon, friends, and thank you very much for joining us. My name is Ganesh from HDFC Securities, and the topic for today's discussion is the new fund offer from HDFC AMC, which is the HDFC Banking ETF. Today, we are going to be discussing how we as investors can participate in the growth story of some of the top banks in the Indian banking space, and more specifically through the ETF, that is the exchange traded funds route. And to do that, and to give us a perspective on that, we have with us Mr. Krishan Daga, the fund manager for HDFC AMC, and Mr. Sachin Mehra, joint AVP on the product side. Welcome, gentlemen. Always a pleasure to have you with us, and we are all eager to hear about this new fund offer. So over to you now.
Thank you, Ganesh. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone, for being part of the webinar. I wish all of you and your family members are in best of health. Firstly, we have to take care of ourselves. Again, thank you, investors, for being with HDFC and having trust in us. We have Krishan sir with us, Krishan Daga. Sir has almost 3 decades of experience in managing funds and in equity research. Krishan sir manages other passive strategies like gold ETF, other index-based ETFs like Sensex and Nifty ETF, as well as he's managing our index funds, both Nifty and Sensex. So, our the topic for today's presentation is discussion around HDFC Banking ETF. This HDFC Banking ETF is a new fund that is being launched from our side. It has started today, and it is ending on 14th of August. Post that, again, it will be available on the exchange for investors to buy and sell. HDFC Banking ETF, it is an open-ended scheme that replicates or tracks Nifty Bank Index. Shyam, if we can go to the next slide. See, our presentation will be predominantly broken into 3 parts. Firstly, we would discuss about ETF as a concept. Then we would discuss about the underlying benchmark, that is the Nifty Bank Index, and ended up with the most important thing, that is HDFC Banking ETF. ETF is nothing. ETF are like mutual fund. They trade like stocks. ETF is like a stocks. They are traded on the stock exchange. Once they are listed, and one can buy and sell at market determined prices, and they specifically during the market hours through the demat accounts. And most commonly, exchange traded funds are the index-based ETF like Sensex ETF or the Nifty ETF. Next slide. Moving on to understanding from an ETF, there are various benefits of investing into an equity ETF. The key, advantage is that an investor who invests into a ETF, he gets a lot of diversification. By buying into a ETF, he holds a basket of security that are a part of the underlying index. ETFs comes generally at a much lower cost as compared to the conventional mutual fund schemes. So lower cost is also one of the key benefits of investing into an equity ETF. Third is lower investment. If one has to buy a certain stock, then you have to put in that particular amount of money to buy that stock. But by investing in a 1 unit of ETF, he can actually gets an opportunity to start investing in a diversified portfolio with much lesser money as compared to what he's putting in buying a one particular stock. Fourth is that in the ETF is managed like a passive fund. It's a passive fund management is done over there. One don't have to keep track of every single investment that the ETF is owned. Fund managers ensure that the portfolio resembles the benchmark index within the aim to have the minimal amount of tracking error. So ETF is nothing; it just tracks or it replicates the underlying benchmark. ETFs are also they are treated like equity oriented mutual funds, so they are much more tax efficient as compared to any other vehicle. ETF, again, the last and the most important benefit is that it gives a flexibility to an investor. One can buy and sell a ETF unit in an intraday. One can buy it around whatever time, and during the day, once before the market hours, he can actually buy and sell over the exchange, and there's much amount of flexibility that the product offers as compared to traditional mutual fund scheme. He can buy and sell through his broker. Next slide. The key thing again over here is the ETF, the unit creation process. During the NFO, one can buy it, from the AMC. Once the Post NFO, once the ETF is listed on the exchange, this our banking ETF will be listed on both the exchanges, BSE and NSE. So investor who wants to buy or he wants to sell, he has to directly do it through his registered broker to the stock exchange, and there are authorized participants who've been empaneled by us, who ensure that there is substantial amount of liquidity available on the exchange for the investor to buy or sell. That is very well depicted in the underlying diagram, that if an investor who wants to buy a unit from the exchange or an investor who wants to sell his unit from the exchange, if the authorized participant who will do the market making activity to ensure the smoothing of the trade is happening in. Specifically, post NFO, only the large investors can invest from the AMC. All of the investors, they can invest and redeem the ETF directly from the stock exchanges on the where it is listed through the registered broker who is a member of the stock exchange. Next slide. Next slide, Shyam. See, there are predominantly 2 or 3 key differences that we look at while looking into an actively managed equity mutual fund scheme or an exchange traded fund. ETFs and actively managed funds, they both have the unique benefits. So, it all depends what you will be able to take advantage of it. Like an actively managed fund, the goal and strategy is very clear of the fund manager. His goal is to outperform his benchmark, and he has to construct a portfolio so to ensure that he is able to generate alpha over and above the benchmark. Unlike an exchange traded fund track the underlying benchmark. Whatever is the underlying benchmark, whether it is an index like a Sensex or a Nifty, or probably a particular sector, it is nothing. It attracts and mimics the underlying benchmark portfolio. So there are much in lower cost in ETF as compared to any other actively managed fund. So in an actively managed fund, the fund management attempts to beat the market by constructing a portfolio so that he can generate alpha much higher than the benchmark. But ETFs, they track the underlying benchmark and it mimics the benchmark portfolio. Next slide. There are predominantly 3 categories of ETFs: equity ETF, debt ETFs, and commodity ETFs. Equity ETFs, they track and they track specifically diversified broad market indices like Nifty 50, Sensex, or Nifty Next 50, or they can be another indices that are well diversified and they are broad market ETF. In equity ETF, again, there is a second subcategory, that is a sector or a theme-based index. That is particular tracking a particular sector or tracking a particular theme. When I mean to say sectors, then sectors can be anyone like bank, IT, or pharma, but index has to be available for that. Or their theme, it is a consumption theme or infrastructure theme. The third subcategory in the equity ETF is a strategy or smart beta ETF. These are specifically based on an investment strategy where the different indices are available, a quality or a low volatility index. So this is predominantly strategy and smart beta ETFs. Second category of ETF is a debt ETF. These are nothing government securities ETF or liquid ETF that tracks returns of government securities over periods of time from 8, 13 or 10 years, or liquid ETF that tracks the overnight index, that is Nifty 1-day trade index. Third category of ETF is commodity ETFs. This is nothing with the gold ETF. It tracks the returns of domestic prices of gold. These all are passively managed fund and they are different categories of ETFs. Next. As we can see from the slide, the total asset under management of exchange traded funds in our country is around 1,86,000 crores. Almost 60-65% of the assets are in indices based ETF, whether it's Nifty or it is Sensex. Almost 1,20,000 crores of assets that is Nifty and Sensex is in Nifty and Sensex ETFs out of overall 1,86,000 crores of total AUM of ETFs in our country. Inflows in ETF, they have been this particular equity ETF. They have seen a significant increase in AUM over the last few years when we have seen government when they have allowed provident fund trust and other retirement bodies to allocate a certain percentage of the incremental inflows in the equity ETFs. ETFs in our country, have been favored from both the domestic as well as from the foreign investors. We can go to the next slide. That was the first part of our presentation when we have discussed about exchange traded fund as a concept. The second part predominantly talks about the underlying benchmark of HDFC banking ETF. It is Nifty Bank Index. Next slide. Before we move on to the Nifty Bank Index, these are some of the facts that we have put in of our banking industry in our country. The total Indian banking system, it has around 20 public sector banks, 22 private sector banks, and almost 44 foreign banks and 44 regional rural banks. Plus, there are other categories of banks like urban cooperative banks and rural cooperative banks. As on 31st of Jan 2020, the total number of ATMs have increased to 210,000, and it is further expected to increase to 4 lakh over the next 1 year. The next 3 points predominantly talks about the different parameters like credit growth, how it has been over the last few years, as well as how the deposits have grew over the last 5 years of Indian banks in our country. Also, over the last few years, we have seen NPA, the commercial bank, they have recorded a recovery of a large amount of 4 lakh crores, which is highest in the last 4 years. Also, once the government have announced Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, deposits under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana has increased to 1,28,000 crores during the week ended April 8, 2020. So these are some of the facts related to our banking, but the underlying message is that banking is very well integrated with our economy. It is very well integrated in our economy in a comprehensive way. Next slide. So these are different parameters that show that our banking is on a comparative edge. But again, the summary is that all these comparative edge has not been possible if we hadn't had a healthy regulatory oversight and a credible monetary policy framed by Reserve Bank of India that have lent strength and stability to our banking sector. Next. Now, if we have to understand about Nifty Bank Index, that is the underlying of HDFC Banking ETF. Nifty Bank Index is a 12 stock index, and it is designed to track performance of the most liquid, large Indian banking stocks that are listed on the National Stock Exchange. The banking stocks that are allowed to trade in future and options, they are only eligible to be constituent of this particular index. The weightage of each stock, as calculated on its free float market cap, is such that no stock can hold more than 33%, and weightage of top 3 stocks cumulatively shall not be more than 62% at the time of rebalancing. So the index is predominantly a large cap index with almost 96% of the exposure to large cap and the balance in mid cap segment. Nifty Bank Index rebalancing is done on a semi-annual basis. The cutoff date for doing the rebalancing is January 31st and July 31st of each year. Next slide. These are the constituents of the Nifty Bank Index, starting from HDFC, ICICI, Kotak, and ending up to Punjab National Bank. These are 12 most liquid and large capitalized stocks from the listed banking universe. Again, over here, if you have to look at top 5, top 6 stocks, almost contribute 90% of the overall index. It is a much suitable benchmark. One has to measure the performance of the Indian banks, Indian listed banks. It is predominantly a large cap index with almost 96% of the exposure to large cap and the balance in mid cap segment. This particular index comprises of 87% of the exposure to private banks and the balance in PSU banks. So this index is predominantly a large cap index, as it is already stated, with almost 96% of the exposure in large cap segment. This particular slide, explains us the performance of Nifty Bank Index over the last 20 years. And it is very much evident from the graph given below. The Nifty Bank Index has outperformed the broader market indices over the long term. The other broader market indices that we have compared in this graph is Nifty Bank Total Return Index and Nifty 50 Total Return Index and Nifty 500 Total Return Index. So it is very much evident from the graph that Nifty Bank Index have outperformed the other indices over a long period of time. The next slide talks about different periods. We can move. This predominantly talks about the Nifty Bank Index performance across different periods. The different periods that we have taken into consideration, whether it was the global financial crisis or it was the Euro debt crisis or when the long-term capital gain tax was imposed on equities, or current crisis that we are into, that is unprecedented COVID-19 fall that we have seen from January to March 2020. Here we have, the summary of this particular slide is that Nifty Bank Index has outperformed the market in a rising market. The kind of, if you would look at the P2 column, where that means the recovery that have happened after post global financial crisis, or in P5 when the oil prices have corrected. After that, we have seen a rally in equity market. The Nifty Bank Index has outperformed in a rising market, but whereas it has also underperformed in a falling market. So Nifty Bank Index is slightly volatile. So it has outperformed in a rising market, and it has underperformed in a falling market as compared to other broad indices. Next slide. In this particular slide, we have tried to explain all three indices financial year performance for the last 20 years of Nifty Bank, Nifty 50 and Nifty 500 index. There are different financial years we have taken into consideration, and on that financial year, we have calculated returns of Nifty Bank and other indices. I believe, Nifty Bank Index, it has outperformed in almost, 14 out of 20 financial years, over the last 20 financial years, with an average return of around 23%. Key is that, we have seen volatility, but the average returns for the last so many years have been much higher as compared to other indices, and it has outperformed the other broader market indices in 14 out of 20 financial years. Next slide. I believe this is our third part of our presentation, talking about HDFC Banking ETF. HDFC Banking ETF is an open-ended scheme that replicates or tracks, the Nifty Bank Index. That is the underlying of HDFC Banking ETF. Next slide. Next, please. If you have to understand the positioning of HDFC Banking ETF, HDFC Banking ETF, any investment in banking, HDFC Banking ETF, it is a route to invest in top banking companies in our country. The scheme allows investors to invest in 12 most liquid Indian banking stocks that are listed on the National Stock Exchange, representing the Nifty Bank Index. Nifty Bank Index is designed to track performance of 12 most liquid banking stocks in the part of CNX, in the part of the Nifty 500 Index. HDFC Banking Index ETF, it will invest in Nifty Bank Index companies in the same proportion, exactly the same proportion as it is there in the underlying index. The units of HDFC Banking Index will be listed on the exchange, both on the NSE as well as on the BSE. Next. These are the salient features of our HDFC Banking ETF. It again talks about where it invests to provide investment returns before expenses. Closely correspond to the total returns of the securities as represented by the Nifty Bank Index. The asset allocation 95 to 100% will be covered in HDFC Bank Index. Fund manager for the scheme is Mr. Krishan Daga. These are other features that are written about the banking ETF that we have almost discussed all the features in the previous part of our presentation. I believe this sums up the presentation. We can go to the next slide and just show the disclaimers. These are other features that during NFO period, minimum investment is 5,000 rupees per application, and after that is in multiples of ₹1. On an ongoing basis on the exchange, minimum number of units that can be bought or sold to the exchange is 1 unit, and in multiples of unit. Next slide. So thank you everyone for a patient hearing. We have Mr. Krishan Daga with us. He's a veteran fund manager. As I've already told you guys that he has almost 3 decades of experience in equity research and fund management. So we would be very happy if there are any questions on the same. Thank you. Ganesh, over to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sachin. My camera is, I've switched off my camera because of bandwidth issues. So,
sure.
Okay. Yeah, so I think that was quite an insightful session on the on the newly started HDFC Banking ETF. I'm sure there is a lot of clarity now on what this ETF entails. Mr. Krishan, we would love to hear from you your thoughts on the banking sector as a whole. Post which we do have some questions. Post which I'm sure your thoughts on the banking sector will address a lot of questions that have already come up. So if you can just spare a few minutes and give us an overview of the banking sector now, mainly due to the current times in the current context as well.
Sure. Thank you. When we talk about banking, sector, as Sachin have already explained, that here, we are just following the passive strategy, and we have already explained about the banking index. Now, the banking index itself, out of last 20 years, if I see, it has outperformed in 14 years compared to, basically total 20 years. That itself, and the number also, if you see, let's say Sensex and Nifty are in the bandwidth of the 12 to 14%, where Bank Nifty have given a return of 23%. See, this sector is very, very important from an economy point of view. And if you see the sector, basically whether you take a private banks or PSU banks, overall, basically this sector is always important. And I think people who want to play the passive strategy, this sector specifically makes much more sense, and this is highly liquid. And in fact, this index is even in the world, if you see, the maximum volume wise also, if you see, it's having a maximum volume on a daily basis, if you see. So this is very highly liquid, and we want investors to participate in this banking ETF, because if people believe that let's say when finance minister or prime minister who are talking about being Atmanirbhar, when we are talking about that particular topic, I think going forward there will be people who will need small for their small kind of entrepreneurship, let's say, or any small business, they would like to get the loan. And I think banking is the system who can basically provide all the basically facilities to those people who want to basically start their own business even at a small scale. And this sector, I feel that if you are really looking forward for next decade, let's say, even when you are competing with, let's say, other countries, let's say China or something, or let's say if you want to make some export oriented compared to other countries, I think banking sector is very, very important. And I think next decade we can see this sector to do better. But at the same time, I would like to say, when especially when we are looking at a passive strategy, I think we should look at the index, that NSE Bank Index itself. Basically the data is there, how many times it has outperformed. So more, than looking at sector, it itself, is giving you lots of, basically insights how this index have performed well, despite of various challenges in the recent past, which we have seen in the banking industry. But I feel going forward, when you are looking for next decade, this sector will do well.
Great. I think it was quite insightful. So we do have a couple of questions. So the first one is actually on the sector itself. It's for you, Krishan sir. Given the current context where your earnings growth has already been affected and expected to remain the same way, expected to be constrained going, at least for the next quarter or two, and banking being the key indicator of any economic growth. How do you see this fund panning out, especially in terms of NPAs rising and the earnings growth getting affected?
When I'm talking about, I think, let's say banking ETF, rather than going on an active kind of basically let's say call on the sector, of course I'm sure all the investors would be happy to know that. But again, I'm repeating that this benchmark itself, if you see NSE Bank have proven basically in last 20 years, if you see that if it is this index is giving 14 times, if it is outperforming the broad-based indices, which is Nifty and Sensex, and that is also by big margin. I think it is needless to talk too much about the valuation and all that. And we know the challenges we have seen in the month of March, when market was down by almost 40%. But how fast, I mean, the recovery have happened. So whenever there is any, I mean, problem or challenge, I think the recovery will be also, I mean, very fast. And if this sector is, I mean, representing your, I mean, basically on the economy, I think. So I personally feel rather than looking at valuation, because the timing is one of the most difficult, I mean, tasks, like, how you look, I mean, basically the present. But I think if you are looking forward, if I look at the economy, I mean, which, I mean, can become, let's say, 5 trillion economy, which we are talking about in next 3 to 5 years, or if I'm talking about, let's say, I want to become, I mean, as a country, I want to become export oriented, or let's say, if I want, let's say, every, I mean, small, I mean, people, I mean, who want to start the business, I mean, they get, I mean, the advantage, I mean, while taking the loan. So this credit growth, I mean, once that will, I mean, improve, obviously the banking sector will get the maximum advantage. But my point is, look at the basically this passive strategy, I mean, based fund, where this index is, I mean, made by NSE, and it is having its own history basically. So rather than, I mean, looking at, I mean, sector specific, I would, I mean, personally suggest to look at the sector as a broad-based indices, and which is one of the most important, I mean, basically a part of the Sensex and Nifty as well. And this sector is always, I mean, doing better. So I think people should participate in the banking ETF.
Great, thank you so much. That helps. The next question is from Mr. Yogesh. How different would it be from any other Bank Nifty ETF? And more so, what would how different would it be from a regular banking mutual fund? And what are the charges and how is dividend paid out? What is the mechanism?
Sure. So basically, when we are talking as a product, I mean, I want to be honest with you people that, I mean, there is no difference as a product specific. But when you are looking at, I mean, HDFC, I mean, ETF, here, I mean, it's just like a diversification at your end also when you are investing in various, I mean, product. And since, I mean, you have the trust on our, I mean, basically other products. Similarly here, it will be not very different, I mean, as a product, but at the same time, I can tell you that if you see the Nifty or Sensex ETF, or if you see, I mean, two data points, which is very important. One is the performance and second is the tracking error. Historically, I mean, we have proven that we are aligned, I mean, with the index very closely. And the second thing is, I mean, performance wise also, if you see, it is again, I mean, basically not in the lowest trends, I mean, basically compared to others, it is always in the top 10. So it is always, I mean, basically objective here to, I mean, meet the performance, I mean, as good as whatever, I mean, let's say index performances, and tracking error also keep the lowest. Now, tracking error is, I mean, happening because of three things. One is because of the corporate action. Whenever, I mean, basically, let's say any company, if they are coming out, I mean, with, let's say, additional equity, I mean, if they are, I mean, floating, or if, let's say, any acquisition, or if any, I mean, let's say mergers, these kind of, I mean, things are, I mean, always, I mean, creating some taking corporate action, and because of which either, I mean, equity will go up or it will come down. So then, I mean, basically the rebalancing happens. That is happening twice a year. Similarly, if, let's say, some, I mean, stock which is doing very well, or let's say, I mean, the float, I mean, have increased, then, I mean, that stocks, I mean, weight goes up, let's say, and if it is not a part of the index at this point of time, but that new stocks comes in, and some stocks, I mean, take a exit, which is also basically happening twice a year. So in total, 4 times in a year, the rebalancing thing is happening. Now, this is incurring some sort of expenses when we do the rebalancing, and these are the two expenses. One is the STT and second is the brokerage, which, I mean, basically incurs, I mean, at the time of rebalancing. So that is also creating a tracking error. And the third thing, I mean, which is the dividend part. Now, whenever, I mean, we get the dividend from the underlying stocks, that dividend is invested, but that dividend maybe, I mean, I am getting after 4 days or 5 days from the company. Whenever it is credited, that time, I mean, it is, I mean, invested in the same proportion of the, let's say, all the 12 stocks are there. But index is adjusting on the same day. Index is not adjusting on the date of, I mean, basically credit which is coming. They are adjusting on the date of X dividend. So X dividend maybe, let's say, tomorrow, but I may be getting dividend after 1 week. So that 1 week, I mean, that a small tracking error is possible. Now, whenever you, I mean, evaluate basically any, I mean, fund with the peers, these are the two things which is very important. One is the basically how I mean basically the performance is, and the second is I mean basically how the tracking error. The third thing which you have also asked basically is about the TR. Now TR, I mean if you see right now, it is in the range of 16 to 18 bits, and we are also here I mean on the lowest side only right now. So we will be I mean very much I mean competitive in terms of TR as well here. So these are the three things in the passive I mean funds which I mean always you can monitor. Again I am repeating, one is the performance, second is the tracking error, and third is the TR. These are the three I mean key drivers. Product specific, there will be no I mean much difference compared to the peers. I hope I answered your question. If anything is specific more I mean you can ask me.
Sure, sir. Thank you for that. The next is from Mr. Bedraj. What is the cost of investment from an HDFC Securities account? I'll take that. There is no additional cost for subscribing to this fund through your HDFC Securities trading account. You just need to log into your trading account, go to the mutual fund tab. Under mutual fund tab, you have NFO watch list under which you can find this fund and do your investment. Okay. The next question is from Mr. Naveen. Okay, with the recent developments happenings of SBI bailing out, salvaging Yes Bank, and LIC investing in IDBI, what are the risks of such liabilities being brought into the banking system and consequently on this fund?
I'm again telling you this index is I mean basically created by NSE, and always good stocks or bad stocks, whenever I'm comparing I mean basically rather than I mean looking at a stock level, I think somebody should look at the I mean basically index level. Now stock specific, whenever I mean there will be some challenge in one particular stock, weight are anyway I mean dropping, and somebody is anyway whichever stock is doing better, and let's say if that stock is not a part of the index, will automatically I mean lead, and it will become a part of the index. So anyway the bad stocks whatever is there will go out of the index, and good stocks will come in the index, and it will continue basically giving that I mean outperformance. So ultimately I should not I mean look at the basically stock level, rather than that I should always look at the index level, because when the moment I go at a stock specific level, maybe I mean that weightage of a let's say bad stock probably I mean 1 or 2%. I'm just giving you an example, but because of I mean that 98% participation I must not miss. So mostly I mean if you see the stocks here, it is only I mean 12 stocks, and the good quality stocks, the name are there. Now there is a possibility that one stock I mean which is not doing good for certain time, but then moment I mean the weight will come down, I mean it will take an exit and some new stocks will come in. So I think somebody whoever is I mean checking should look at the index only rather than I mean looking at a stock level. That's my suggestion here.
Yeah, I think that was very well explained. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I don't want to be so much specific at a stock level here, because ultimately, I mean, this is a passive strategy based fund, and we are following, I mean, basically index, I mean, rather than, I mean, basically managing any stock actively here. So this index, I mean, basically, whatever, let's say, created by index, and it's a, as I said, I mean, it's already in a demand in the world also. I mean, all the FIs are also I mean using this I mean index quite a lot, and even in the domestically I mean people are using this index, and it has proven that, and it is giving I mean good return basically over a period of time. So I think I would I mean stick to that.
Sure.
Sorry,
that was helpful. Thanks a lot. Next question is from Mr. Harsha. We'll just take the next couple of questions before we close this session. The next one from Harsha Vardhan. Any plans to launch fund of fund for this ETF so that it can be held in physical rather than demat form?
Yeah, we can think of, I mean, right now, I mean, there is no plan, but obviously, I mean, we'll think over it, because I also believe that any, I mean, fund on fund, I mean, it helps, I mean, lots of time, I mean, to the small investors, especially because if anybody who is not having, let's say, demat account and who do not want to, I mean, trade on the exchange, then there is no way, I mean, people can, I mean, participate in this bank, I mean, let's say ETF, because here, initially, I mean, maybe, I mean, they can, I mean, invest with the 5,000 rupees, but later on when they want to participate, the unit creation size is 12,500 here right now. So I myself, I mean, is a great believer of that fund on fund should be there. But at this point of time, I mean, we are launching, I mean, ETF, and then going forward, whenever, I mean, we'll be having a plan to launch fund on the bank ETF, we will revert to you. But currently we are not, proposing anything that sort of.
Sure. Thanks. So we'll just take the last question for this session. We'll have to wind up, I'm afraid, due to paucity of time. This one is from Mr. Gurumurthy. Okay. Wanted your views on why should the corporate sector actually prefer to raise loans from banks when they can raise funds from other sectors at cheaper rates, which also actually projects the sustainability of banks as well as growth of the bottom lines of these banks in which the fund invests.
Sorry, if you can repeat this question again.
Yeah. One is why, so I'll break it up into two parts. Why should the corporate sector prefer to raise loans from banks when they can raise funds from other sectors at cheaper rates? Would be the first part of the question.
Again, Sachin, you would like to take this question? Because this is passive strategy based fund, I will stick myself, rather than talking too much on a sector or stock, like, if you, want to add something on this.
I believe nothing, Krishan sir. I believe you have explained the presentation and banking sector in detail to everyone. So I don't think so, these questions, we have to elaborate much on that.
Okay. The next, okay, we'll take this one last one. I'm trying to find HDFC NFO and HDFC Securities, but I can't find it as an NRI holder. So NRI investors also can invest in it, right, Sachin?
Sachin, any idea about NRI investors?
Yes, they can. I'll revert to you on this, or possibly, but I'm sure they can.
Yeah. So, okay. So, Mr. Yogesh, you can just log into your HDFC Securities account. As I explained earlier, go to the mutual fund section. Okay. And under the mutual fund section, you will find under NFO watch list, you will find this fund HDFC Banking ETF. So I think with this, we'll have to come to the end of this session. Thank you so much, dear investors, for taking the time out and joining us. Thank you, Krishan sir and Sachin, for this presentation. I'm sure our investors found this useful. Should you have any more queries on this fund and about the banking sector, please do get in touch with your relationship managers. We will have them addressed to the leadership team and fund management team of HDFC AMC and have them addressed for you. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Sachin, you would like to add something as a closing comment?
Yes. Thank you, investors, for taking out time to attend this webinar. And thank you, HDFC Securities, for organizing the same. Thank you and have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.